I stand frozen in Carolyn's living room, the leather vacation folder clutched in my hands, watching her face transform like a beautiful sunset suddenly swallowed by storm clouds. Just seconds ago, her eyes had sparkled with delight as she opened the Sedona brochure, her perfectly manicured fingers tracing over the luxury resort photos. "Oh my, is this where we're staying?" she gasped, her voice lifting with pleasure as she examined the private casitas overlooking Cathedral Rock. Ethan stands beside me, his hand warm against the small of my back, pride radiating from his smile. I feel a bloom of hope in my chest after 2 years of marriage to her son. Maybe this would finally be the gesture that brings Carolyn and me closer. The spa packages are included, I explain, pointing to the list of amenities. And I reserved spots for the sunrise hot air balloon ride you've always wanted to try. Her smile widens as she flips through the itinerary I spent weeks perfecting. "This is absolutely wonderful. Who planned all this?" "Samantha did," Ethan answers, squeezing my waist gently. "She's been organizing it for months." The change happens in an instant. The warmth in Carolyn's eyes vanishes, replaced by something cold and assessing. She carefully closes the brochure and hands it back to me, her movements deliberate and suddenly formal. "Oh," she says, the single syllable falling between us like a stone. I assumed it was Ethan's idea. "We both wanted to celebrate your birthday," I offer, confusion creeping into my voice. "Everyone's excited your friends, Marjorie and Susan, already confirmed they can make it." Carolyn's face tightens. She smooths her linen slacks with practiced precision. "This trip is meant to bring real family together," she says, her voice honeyed but her eyes flat. "And you're not real family, dear." The blood rushes from my face so quickly I sway slightly on my feet. Ethan's arm tightens around me. "Mother," he starts, but my trembling fingers clutching the brochure cut through his words. From the kitchen doorway, Derek and Ryan watch with barely concealed smirks. Derek, the older brother, leans against the doorframe with calculated casualness. Ryan, the younger, doesn't bother hiding his satisfaction. "What exactly do you mean by that?" I ask, my voice smaller than I intend. Carolyn sighs like I'm a child who can't grasp a simple concept. "Ethan's father always wanted our family vacations to be just us, his sons, myself, our traditions. I can't dishonor Richard's memory by changing that now." The brochure shakes in my hands. My mind flashes back to the nights I spent at our dining room table, laptop open to a dozen travel websites, the careful calculations to make the $6,200 luxury weekend possible on our budget, the calls to Carolyn's closest friends, their genuine excitement a sharp contrast to the dismissive text messages I received from Derek and Ryan. "If you want to do it yourself, and I had done it myself, every last detail. I invited your friends, I say. They've already booked their flights." "I'll explain the misunderstanding to them," Carolyn replies smoothly. "They'll understand that family comes first." Ethan's face has drained of color. "You can't be serious, Mother." "Samantha is my wife. She is family." Derek pushes away from the doorframe and steps forward, his face arranged in practiced concern. "Mom has been through so much this year with her arthritis. She just wants things comfortable and familiar." "Which means just us," Ryan adds, his tone making clear who us includes and who it doesn't. Something shifts inside me. A quiet strength I didn't know was waiting. My voice emerges steady and clear. "If you're not going, then this trip won't be what you think it is." Carolyn blinks, startled by the resistance. She's a woman unused to having her edicts questioned, especially by someone she considers an outsider. "Excuse me? I've already paid the deposits. Your friends are coming. The reservations are in my name." Each sentence drops between us like a small, certain stone. "So if you're not attending, it will simply be a different kind of family celebration." Ethan finally finds his voice stronger than I expected. "She spent months planning this for you, Mother, every detail, because she knows how much you love the Southwest." Carolyn's mouth opens, then closes. For the first time, uncertainty flickers across her face. I tuck the brochure back into its folder, my decision crystallizing with each passing second. The question burns in my mind as I meet her cold stare. What would you do if someone rejected your kindness so publicly? Stay silent or take a stand. My next move will change everything. Ethan grips the steering wheel, his knuckles bone white against the black leather. We haven't spoken since leaving his mother's house 20 minutes ago. The radio plays softly, some oldie station he usually sings along to. The melodies float between us, unacknowledged. I stare out the passenger window, watching suburban landscapes blur past manicured lawns, trimmed hedges, perfect facades hiding God knows what within. I need to tell you something, Ethan finally says, his voice cracking on the last word. I turn to face him, a muscle twitches in his jaw. I've been supporting them, all of them, for years. The words hang in the air between us. I wait, giving him space to continue. Mom hasn't worked since Dad died. She's only 58. But she doesn't. He swallows hard, Adam's apple bobbing. Derek loses every job he gets. Ryan starts businesses that fail within months, and I keep writing checks. My stomach tightens. How much? Ethan makes a right turn, slower than necessary. Too much. At home, I stand frozen in his office doorway while Ethan pulls out a worn leather checkbook from the back of his desk drawer. Not our joint checkbook, one I've never seen before. He flips it open, revealing pages of meticulous entries in his precise handwriting. This is a separate account, he explains, voice hollow, for family expenses. I flip through page after page, year after year. The mortgage payment for Carolyn's 4-bedroom house, Derek's rent for an apartment he could never afford on his own, Ryan's business loans that never show repayment entries. The amounts steal my breath, nearly a third of our income. 5 years, Ethan whispers. I've been paying Derek's rent for 5 years. I sink into the desk chair, mind racing through our shared calendar, the cruise we canceled last summer when Carolyn suddenly needed a new roof, the house down payment we've been struggling to save while Ethan funneled thousands to his family. They plan these emergencies, I say softly, realization dawning. They always happen right before we're about to do something for ourselves. Ethan nods, tears welling in his eyes. I'm so ashamed. I take his hand, forcing myself to breathe evenly. Tell me everything. The stories pour out of him, dating back to his college years, how Carolyn weaponizes his father's memory to maintain control, how Ryan monitors Ethan's family duty with calculating precision, the girlfriends before me systematically driven away. They'll never accept anyone who threatens their security, Ethan says, his shoulders slumped with the weight of admission. And you smart, financially savvy, you are their biggest threat. At 2 a.m., with Ethan finally asleep beside me, I slip from our bed and call Emma. I can't believe this, she whispers after I recount everything. They're not rejecting you, Sam. They're protecting their meal ticket. The words strike with the clarity of absolute truth. What are you going to do, she asks. I don't know yet, but by morning I do. My parents call it breakfast. They listen without judgment, offering support without pushing opinions. Dad simply says, "We trust you to handle this right, Samantha. You always have." Their confidence steadies me as I research flight cancellation policies. Ethan walks into the kitchen as I hang up, his eyes red-rimmed but clearer than I've seen in months. Let's reclaim this trip, he says, surprising me with his firmness. For us. That afternoon, I cancel Carolyn's reservations with steady hands. The resort is sympathetic when I explain we're dealing with a family health issue. Not entirely a lie. This family is sick with something money can't cure. I make 3 calls to our closest friends. They accept the last-minute invitation with genuine excitement. No guilt trips, no manipulations, just simple joy at the prospect of shared experiences. When Ethan returns from work, I show him the revised itinerary. Relief and guilt war across his face. Are you sure? He asks. Completely. That night, I sleep peacefully for the first time in months. No tossing, no turning, no mental calculations of how to win Carolyn's approval. My phone buzzes at 6 a.m. A text from Derek. Mom is crying because of you. Happy now? I sit up in bed, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I type several responses, then delete them one by one. She deserves better than this. Delete. Tell her to get a job. Delete. Stop exploiting your brother. Delete. Finally, I type 2 simple words and hit send. Actually, yes. I block his number before he can respond. Then Ethan's too. And finally Carolyn's. They can leave voicemails if it's truly important, but they won't control our vacation. Ethan stirs beside me, his hand reaching for mine in the dim morning light. Everything okay? He murmurs. I squeeze his fingers. Better than okay. Everything is finally clear. My phone vibrates for the 12th time since breakfast. I don't need to look to know it's Carolyn. The messages started at 5:43 a.m., each one more desperate than the last. Ethan, your mother can't sleep. Call her. This vacation was supposed to be for family. Your father would never have treated me this way. I slide the phone face down on the red rock terrace of our Sedona casita and breathe in the desert air. The sun paints Cathedral Rock in shades of burnt orange and crimson. Nothing like the cold Massachusetts autumn we left behind. Ethan emerges from the bathroom, his hair still damp from the shower. Another text. 6, actually. I pass him a mug of coffee. Your brother's joined the campaign too. Ethan checks his own phone and flinches. His thumb hovers over the screen before he switches it off completely. Ryan posted on Facebook something about gold diggers destroying families. Subtle. I'm sorry, I touch his arm. Don't apologize for them anymore. We'd made the decision to cancel Carolyn's reservation and invite our friends instead. Marjorie and Susan had still come delighted to escape early winter. They'd brought their husbands, who hit it off with Ethan immediately. Our friend Emma and her husband joined too, flying in from Chicago. My phone buzzes again. I don't reach for it. Ethan slips his arm around my waist. Ready for the hot air balloon? I lean against him, watching the desert landscape expand before us. Absolutely. The dinner that would have celebrated Carolyn's birthday becomes something else entirely. A table of 8 at the Cliffside restaurant, candles flickering in the breeze, laughter flowing as freely as the wine. Ethan, I've never seen you so relaxed, Susan comments, raising her glass. She's known him since childhood, watched him grow up under Carolyn's thumb. You're practically a different person. Ethan's eyes meet mine across the table. I guess I've never really enjoyed a family trip before. After dessert, Emma pulls out her phone. Everyone together. We gather against the backdrop of red rocks and sunset sky. The photo captures something I've never seen fully on Ethan's face, freedom. I post it immediately. Beautiful Sedona sunset with people we love. The first hint something is wrong comes when our Uber pulls onto our street. A silver Lexus sits in our driveway. That's my mother's car, Ethan says quietly. 3 figures wait on our porch. Carolyn, centered on the swing like a queen on her throne. Derek and Ryan flanking her like sentries. My stomach drops, but I straighten my shoulders. This is our home. Darling, we were so worried. Carolyn rises, her expression a masterpiece of practiced concern. Her voice wobbles with carefully calibrated emotion. We came to clear things up. Ethan hesitates at the base of the steps. Mother, you should have called first. Would you have answered? Ryan steps forward, arms crossed. Though younger than Ethan, he's always been Carolyn's favorite weapon. You've been avoiding everyone for a week while Samantha tears the family apart. That's not what's happening, Ryan. But Derek has already pushed past me, shoulder colliding with mine as he enters our home without waiting for permission. Ryan follows. And Carolyn glides in behind them, her perfume a cloying cloud in her wake. Our living room, our space suddenly feels invaded. Photos from Sedona still display on my open laptop. Carolyn's eyes lock on the photos, narrowing slightly. I see you enjoyed our family tradition without us, her voice sharp enough to freeze summer air. Using your father's inheritance money for your friends instead of family. Ethan's face crumples. It happened so suddenly, decades of manipulation taking their toll in an instant. The confidence from Sedona vanishes. Your father would be ashamed of you, Carolyn whispers, twisting the knife. Something shifts inside me. A calm I didn't know I possessed settles over me like a shield. I move between them, standing tall in our home. You need to leave. Our home. Now. My voice stays quiet but firm. Excuse me? Carolyn blinks, genuinely startled. This conversation is over. Please leave. Derek steps toward me. You don't get to decide. A knock at the open door interrupts him. Emma stands there, casserole dish in hand, her husband behind her. She lives 3 houses down, must have seen everything through her window. Sorry to interrupt. Brought dinner since you just got back from traveling. Her cheerful voice betrays nothing, but her eyes communicate everything. I'm here, you're not alone, the cavalry has arrived. Carolyn's mask slips for just a second, revealing the calculation beneath. With witnesses present, she gathers her designer purse. We'll continue this discussion later, Ethan, when she isn't controlling you. They leave in a cloud of indignation. The door closes behind them with a soft click that sounds like freedom. Ethan collapses onto the couch, hands shaking. I can't believe I let them in. Emma sets the casserole down and squeezes my shoulder before tactfully retreating with her husband, promising to check in tomorrow. The phone rings. Ethan's uncle, his father's brother who hasn't called in years. Then my father calls, asking specifically to speak with Ethan, man to man. And suddenly, we see it the support network we never realized we had. After dinner, Ethan disappears into the office and returns with a metal box. I need to show you something. Bank statements. Transfer records. Years of them. I've been supporting them since I was 24. His voice cracks. Dad's life insurance paid off their house, but Mom never worked after he died. The brothers can't hold jobs. I've been carrying them all. The amounts stagger me, nearly a third of our income. I keep thinking, if I just hope enough, they'll finally. He can't finish. I place my hand over his. We're not responsible for adults who refuse to grow up. He looks at me, really looks at me, and nods slowly. The certified letter arrives exactly 1 week later. Ethan's hands shake as he tears open the heavy envelope. Legal letterhead stares up at us, cold and official. His face goes pale. They're suing me for my father's inheritance money. I grip Ethan's hand as we sit side by side in our lawyer's spacious office. The rich scent of polished wood and leather fills the air, a stark contrast to the knot churning in my stomach. Morning light streams through tall windows, highlighting dust motes dancing in the silence as Mr. Patterson spreads our documents across his mahogany desk. You've given them how much? Mr. Patterson's eyebrows climb toward his receding hairline as he reviews the financial records I've meticulously organized over the past weeks. $216,000, over 7 years. I answer, my voice steadier than my heartbeat. Each statement, each transfer, each check, all laid out in chronological order, color-coded by recipient. Green for Carolyn, blue for Derek, orange for Ryan. Ethan stares at the total, his face pale. I didn't realize it was that much until Samantha put it all together. Mr. Patterson removes his reading glasses, places them deliberately on the desk. And now they're suing you for inheritance money you never touched? He shakes his head. Bold move. They're desperate, I say, straightening my spine against the leather chair. We cut them off completely last month. No more transfers, no more emergency bailouts, nothing. Ethan nods. Derek's car was repossessed 3 days ago. Ryan's landlord called me twice about late rent. Let me be clear, Mr. Patterson leans forward, his voice taking on an edge that wasn't there before. This lawsuit isn't just frivolous, it's offensive. We'll file a counterclaim for legal fees and harassment. Hours later, I'm still at my desk when Ethan bursts through the front door, his tie askew, face flushed. They showed up. At my office, he says, dropping his briefcase with a thud. All 3 of them. Right in the middle of my client meeting. I stand quickly. What happened? Mom cried. Derek tried to intimidate me. Ryan said I was betraying Dad's memory. Ethan loosens his tie with sharp, angry movements, in front of everyone. And the word hangs between us, weighted with possibility. A slow smile spreads across Ethan's face. I told them to leave or I'd call security, and when they didn't, I did exactly that. My phone rings before I can respond. I don't recognize the number, but the area code belongs to Ethan's hometown. Hello? Samantha? This is Martha, Carolyn's sister. The voice is hesitant, nothing like Carolyn's polished confidence. I got your number from Susan. I need to hear what's really going on. I catch Ethan's eye, put the phone on speaker. What did Carolyn tell you? That Ethan stole inheritance money. That you've turned him against the family. Martha's voice wavers. But Susan showed me your text messages about the lawsuit. Things aren't adding up. Over the next hour, the truth begins its slow, inevitable spread. Martha calls, then Ethan's cousin James, then his childhood friend Patrick. By evening, Ethan's phone buzzes with a message from his Uncle Robert. I have Dad's original will and trust documents. Ethan reads aloud, his voice tight with emotion. The inheritance money they're claiming you stole was never yours to begin with. It went straight into Mom's account when Dad died. I'll send everything tomorrow. 3 weeks later, we stand in the courthouse hallway, the judge's words still ringing in our ears. Case dismissed with prejudice. Countersuit for legal fees. Granted. Your mother's lawyer just withdrew from the case, Mr. Patterson says, closing his leather portfolio with a satisfied snap. Apparently, she neglected to tell him certain pertinent facts. Ethan stares through the glass doors where Carolyn stands on the courthouse steps, mascara tracking down her cheeks as Derek gestures wildly beside her. Ryan is nowhere to be seen. What happens now? Ethan asks quietly. They'll receive the bill for our legal fees by Friday, Mr. Patterson says, giving their financial situation. I doubt they can pay it. As if summoned by those words, Ethan's phone rings. Derek's name flashes on the screen. Don't answer it, I say. Ethan watches the phone until it stops ringing. It starts again immediately. This time, Ethan turns it completely off. That evening, a different kind of call comes through Rebecca, Ryan's girlfriend. Her voice is small and uncertain. I've been with Ryan for 2 years, and I've never seen him like this, she tells me. He applied for a job at Palmer's Hardware today. He's never had a real job before. I say nothing, letting the silence speak volumes. Is it true? She finally asks. About the money? Every word, I answer. The next morning, our doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Carolyn standing on our porch, her usual perfect appearance noticeably disheveled. Ethan! I call up the stairs. Your mother's here. He joins me at the door but doesn't open it. What do you want to do? I think of the years of manipulation, the tears, the constant drain on our resources, our energy, our love. Nothing, I answer. Let's do nothing. We stand together, watching through the side window as Carolyn rings the bell again, then knocks, then finally leaves a folded note on the welcome mat before walking slowly to her car. Ethan doesn't retrieve it until evening. And when he does, he barely glances at the foreclosure notice before dropping it in the recycling bin. Not our problem, he says, and for the first time since I've known him, the words carry no trace of guilt. That night, Ethan receives a notification. His distant cousin has posted about the situation on Facebook. The community's response is immediate and overwhelming. Our phones overflow with messages of support, of similar stories, of long-held suspicions finally confirmed. When Carolyn's desperate voicemail comes through, "You can't just abandon family?" Ethan listens once, then deletes it without a word. What happens when manipulators lose all their power? He asks, turning to me with clear eyes. I take his hand, feeling the steadiness that wasn't there before. They face reality, I say, maybe for the first time. I stand in the doorway of Uncle Frank's living room, observing the scene they've staged with military precision. Family photos line every surface. 3 generations of Matthew's men stare back at me from silver frames, their eyes seeming to follow my movements. Ethan's elderly grandparents sit on the floral couch, hands folded in their laps like sentinels of tradition. The trap has been carefully set. Thank you both for coming, Carolyn says, her voice honeyed with practiced sincerity. She wears a pearl necklace I've never seen before, her hair freshly styled. Family healing requires everyone's participation. Derek and Ryan flank her like twin bodyguards, their faces arranged in expressions of somber concern. Ryan keeps nodding at everything Carolyn says, his performance of the devoted son, almost convincing if I hadn't spent 2 years watching the act. We've all had time to reflect, Carolyn continues, gesturing toward the empty seats directly across from her. The position would place Ethan and me with our backs to the door facing the entire family, and we realize communication has broken down. Ethan's fingers tighten around mine. 6 months ago, he would have immediately sat where directed, eager to please. Today, he remains standing beside me. We've come to understand we haven't always been our best selves, Derek adds, his voice scratchy with what I suspect is rehearsed remorse. Family is everything, right? Dad always said that. At the mention of his father, Uncle Frank shifts uncomfortably in his armchair. I catch his eye, briefly note the uncertainty there. Carolyn had told him this gathering was for reconciliation. The folder tucked under my arm suggests otherwise. You've supported us through difficult times, Ryan chimes in, his gaze fixed somewhere over Ethan's shoulder. And we want to show our appreciation by being better, more involved in your life. Ethan's grandmother dabs at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Richard would want his boys together, she whispers. Family stays together no matter what. Especially now, Carolyn adds, her tone dropping conspiratorially. There are certain family matters, private things that need addressing. Things your father entrusted only to me. The implied threat hangs in the air, family secrets, leveraged as currency. I step forward, the leather folder warm against my side. Before we continue, I'd like to say something. Carolyn's smile freezes. This wasn't in her script. Everyone in this room has known Ethan his entire life. I begin, my voice steadier than expected. I move toward the coffee table central to all of them. You've watched him grow into a man who takes responsibility seriously, perhaps too seriously. I place the folder on the table. The room goes utterly silent. Carolyn, Derek, Ryan. I address each one directly, meeting their eyes. Emotional manipulation stops today. Ethan steps beside me, his shoulder brushing mine. The contact grounds me. For 14 years, Ethan says, opening the folder, I've supported this family financially since I was 24 years old. He spreads bank statements across the coffee table like playing cards, 14 years of transfers, payments, and loans, neatly documented in black and white. My God, Frank murmurs, leaning forward to look at the figures. His eyes widen as he calculates the total. This can't be right. Every penny is accounted for, Ethan replies. $273,000, over 14 years. I watch the color drain from Carolyn's face. Ethan points to specific statements. Mom's mortgage payments for the past decade, Derek's gambling debts paid off 3 times, Ryan's failed business ventures, all 3 of them. Ryan jumps to his feet. You offered to help. Don't act like we forced you. Sit down, Frank says sharply, his eyes still on the documents. Let him finish. The power in the room shifts like tectonic plates, subtle but seismic. I've been a good son, Ethan says, standing taller than I've ever seen him. I honored Dad's memory by taking care of you, but you've been terrible parents. You've taken and taken while giving nothing but guilt in return. He pulls a sealed envelope from the folder and places it beside the statements. This makes it official. No more financial support. Not a dollar. Not a not ever. Carolyn lunges for the envelope, but Uncle Frank catches her wrist. Enough, Carolyn! You have no right! She sputters, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. After everything I've sacrificed. What exactly have you sacrificed? Ethan asks quietly. You haven't worked since Dad died. You've lived in a house I pay for. You vacation twice a year on my dime. Derek slams his fist on the table, sending photographs skittering across the surface. You ungrateful little Derek! Grandmother Matthews gasps, but Derek's mask has slipped completely. You think you're better than us? Without you, we'll be fine. Just watch. Ryan says nothing, his eyes calculating as he mentally revises his future plans. I watch Carolyn's transformation from righteous victim to exposed manipulator happen in real time. Her shoulders collapse inward, her expressions cycling through denial, anger, bargaining all within seconds. The elderly relatives draw back from her physical distance, marking their shifting allegiance. Ethan gathers the statements, returns them to the folder, and takes my hand. We're done here. We walk toward the door, his step steady, spine straight. Ethan, Carolyn calls, her voice cracking. You can't just leave. We're family. He turns, looking at his mother with clear eyes perhaps for the first time. Family is earned, not owed. The words fall like stones into still water. The silence follows us out the door and down the porch steps. In the car, Ethan exhales slowly, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. Are you okay? I ask softly, studying his profile. Really okay? He turns to me, his eyes both wounded and somehow lighter than before. The question hangs between us. Can someone truly rebuild after decades of manipulation? His answer will change everything. It will change. The morning sun streams through our kitchen windows, casting golden rectangles across the butcher block island Ethan installed last month. 6 months have passed since we walked out of that final confrontation, and the evidence of our freedom surrounds us. Fresh sage green paint on walls that once held family photos Ethan couldn't bear to look at. New hardwood floors where carpet once trapped decades of tension. Coffee? Ethan holds up the carafe, his shoulders relaxed in a way I'm still getting used to. The permanent furrow between his brows has smoothed out, making him look years younger. Please, I accept the mug, our fingers brushing. Excited about the dinner party tonight? Ethan smiles. A real smile. One that reaches his eyes. Actually, I am. Never thought I'd say that about entertaining. The promotion came 3 months after he stopped bankrolling his family. With his attention fully on his own career instead of solving their endless emergencies, his boss finally saw what I'd always known. Ethan is brilliant when not crushed under obligation. By sunset, our backyard transforms. String lights twinkle overhead, and the china I originally bought for Carolyn's birthday celebration now graces our patio table. The irony isn't lost on me. Emma raises her glass. To 1 year of freedom. 1 year of peace, Ethan counters, his voice steady and sure. The laughter that follows from him sounds nothing like the nervous chuckle he once used to diffuse family tension. This is real joy, rich and unencumbered. Our therapist would be proud. Those weekly sessions were Ethan's idea. After the dust settled, he'd said, I need to understand why I let them control me for so long. Now he can spot guilt tactics a mile away, dismantling them before they take root. I watch him across the table, confidence flowing through his movements as he serves the grilled salmon. The money that once disappeared into his mother's bottomless needs now builds our future. A growing savings account, retirement plans, possibilities. You two make it look easy, Ethan's cousin Melissa whispers as we clear plates. Her new husband hovers nervously by the grill, still shell-shocked from his first holiday with the extended family. It wasn't, I answer honestly. But your peace is non-negotiable, Melissa. Remember that. Our home has become sanctuary for the family's other outsiders. Last Thanksgiving, when Derek started his usual backhanded comments toward his wife, Ethan simply stood up and said, "We don't speak to each other that way anymore." The shocked silence was worth every painful step of our journey. The table buzzes with conversation when Ethan's phone rings. He pulls it from his pocket, glances at the screen. Carolyn Mobile flashes with a photo I haven't seen in months. Ethan pauses, his thumb hovers over the screen. Something flickers across his face, not guilt, not anguish, just quiet acknowledgement. He silences the ringer and slips the phone back into his pocket, returning to the conversation without missing a beat. I catch his eye across the table and nod once. He doesn't need my permission or approval anymore. But the small gesture says, "What words can't I see you choosing yourself?" And I'm proud. Later, as guests depart with warm hugs and promises to return soon, we stand hand in hand looking out at the garden we've planted together. "I was thinking," Ethan says, his voice soft in the evening air. "Maybe we should start talking about kids." "Yeah," I say. "Yeah, I think I'm ready to be the father mine never was." I squeeze his hand. I spent years trying to be accepted by people who saw me as a threat. The truth was, I threatened their comfortable dependence. When I stopped trying to win their approval, I found something better: my self-respect. Ethan turns to me, moonlight catching in his eyes. And I learned that real family lifts you up, not weighs you down.